Hello and welcome to this very special edition of our Game Starter series. It's very special because this time around we're talking about games journalism, which might not be like such a dev-heavy topic like we usually cover, but we think that games journalism is an important part of the industry. On the one hand, it plays into the PR and marketing side of things, and it definitely helps a game find its audience. But at the same time, games journalists report on what's happening in the industry, and that might also influence the way we work and how studios and businesses operate. So we are very happy that we've got three wonderful people from three major German games outlets with us today. But before we dive into the world of games journalism, I just want to introduce you to Gamecity's program for the next 2 weeks. So first up, as we are still in June, which is Pride Month, which we love, we've got an entry from our Gamecity Impulse series. This time we're talking about how to design better gender options, a wonderful talk by Arden Ofstorff. That's on June 27th at 5 p.m., also an online event. Please come around and join us for that. And if you're in Hamburg, you are cordially invited for our Flinter Games meetup on July 2nd. It's the first anniversary, and if Flinter doesn't ring a bell for you, that stands for female, lesbian, intersex, non-binary, trans, and agender people. And all of those who work in the games industry are cordially invited I think every 3 months to join for a meetup and to exchange ideas and support each other and just to meet other people from the industry. And since that has been such a great success for the past year, we are now opening up this event for a very special edition and are also inviting all allies to join us. So even if you don't fit under the Flinter umbrella, we'd be very happy to have you with us if you say, oh yeah, I support this cause and I want to meet awesome Flinter people from the games industry. Please come around July 2nd, 6:30 p.m. If the weather is on our side, we are going to have a lovely picnic, location TBA. And if the weather is not on our side, no worries, we'll just move this inside. Also, a big thank you to Bytro, who are sponsoring this event and making it possible. But that's enough ads from our side. Let's take a look at what we're dealing with today. So you are currently in the welcome and introduction part. Next up, we are going to have a look at who's joining us for this wonderful panel. Then we have loads of questions prepared, but we can't wait to sprinkle in your questions at the same time. So if any of them are burning on your sleeve, just put them in the chat and my lovely co-host Santa and I, we will relay them to the panel. And we hope you've brought loads of them because starting at 7 p.m. we will open the general Q&A round. So no more questions that we have prepared. Those are all on you now. And we're going to have this panel until 7:30 p.m. and then we will wrap things up. So who is going to tell us all about games journalism today? We've got Geraldine Hohmann with us. She's lead creator at GameStar Talk. Next up, there's Lea Jankowski. She is the editor-in-chief at Mein MMO. And last but not least, we've got Sebastian Tützak. He is the deputy editor-in-chief at Game2. Thank you for joining us. So now that we're all together, let me ask you, Geraldine, first. Could you introduce yourself to our wonderful audience? Who are you, what do you do, and how did you get into games journalism?
Sure. Hi, I'm happy to be here. My name is Geraldine, as you said. I'm a lead creator at GameStar Talk, which in short means I'm responsible for the video talk and podcast department. And I also host the video talks and podcasts myself. But this also includes like organizing live streams, events, exhibitions like Gamescom, for example. Also a lot of administrative stuff, for example, for a YouTube channel, Gamestar Talk. And I used to study game design in Berlin back in 2020. At the time, I was about to do my internship semester, and I realized that I preferred talking and writing about games much more than developing them myself. So, like out of pure thirst for adventure, I guess, I applied for the editorial traineeship at GameStar in Munich, which is other side of Germany. And also GameStar is like the biggest video game magazine in Europe, so I had very small goals, you could say. But somehow it worked out, and I finished my traineeship there. And then I was hired in the editorial department back then. And in January 2023, I co-founded a new team to make our podcasts bigger and to create a dedicated YouTube channel for them, Gamester Talk, which is what I do now. And yeah, I've been lead creator there since the beginning of 2024. So now I'm more or less my own boss, kind of.
Awesome. Shoot for the stars, and now you're at a Gamecity event. I mean, what more can you wish for? So thanks a lot for joining us.
Thanks.
Thanks. Okay. Yeah, Leia, how about you? How did you get started in the industry, and like what exactly do you do?
Yeah, hi, my name is Leia and I'm editor-in-chief at MeinMMO. The name is a little bit confusing. We are a website that started out 10 years ago as a website focused on MMORPGs, but we are much broader nowadays. So we do basically any game that is that has a thriving big community that is centered around service. We also cover some single player games, but not in the extension of still MMOs and service like games. We also do a lot of gaming culture, so also write and talk about gaming influencers, for example, or developers, like more the people behind the games. We also have like a small movie and series department because they also play a big part nowadays in gaming. And yeah, that all started 10 years ago. And I entered MeinMMO in 2017 as a freelance writer. And truth is, I was studying back then marketing in the Netherlands, and I needed money. That is the whole truth. Like we all we like food and we like living. So I was like, I actually should earn some money for that. And the website was smaller back then, and I just applied there because I thought like, okay, you like gaming, you read a lot of books, so I guess you can also write about games. And that was my whole start. And I didn't know back then that I would end up liking it so much that my career just escalated from there, and I went from freelance writer to editor-in-chief within 7 years. No, six, yeah, since 2023, I think. Yeah, I'm editor-in-chief and did some steps in between. But yeah, I really ended up loving this career by heart and can't imagine doing anything else nowadays.
Awesome. I love that wording. Your career just escalated. Now you've got lots of responsibilities and
yeah, I girl boss too hard.
Too close to the sun.
Too close.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. And last but not least, of course, Sebastian, how about you? How did you enter into games journalism?
Oh, yeah, I got a rough start, actually. I learned something completely different, and I actually had to Google how it is called in English. It is Industrial Management Assistant, or as we say in Germany, Industriekaufmann. Much easier. But maybe a little bit different than Leia, who thought, okay, I would like to earn some money. I thought money isn't everything. I want to do something that's fun. So I said to myself, I would like to start writing about games. That was my starting point. So I did an internship years. I don't know when exactly. 2011. A lot of time has passed. Yeah, I started an internship, and I think from there on out, I tried everything that I could do, like writing about games, doing videos about games, making podcasts, being in videos, stuff like that. And from there on out, I got lucky somehow, and now I'm working for Game2 as now at least deputy editor-in-chief. And Game2 is produced by us for German public television, for ZDF Neo. I wanted to say it in English, but nein, ZDF Neo. Yeah, and Game2 is a little bit special. It's a show about games, but we like to have fun with games. So we're a comedy format that is reviewing games, but yeah, with a lot of fun doing funny stuff, or at least we tried to be funny. Yeah, I think that was kind of my career up until now.
Awesome, thank you. So one of your career escalated, another one just got lucky. I doubt it, to be honest. But let's let's dive deeper into that and talk a bit more about your jobs. I mean, you already said everyone works in a bit of a different branch of the industry, different formats and such. And yeah, let's take a closer look at that. And for this purpose, I'm going to pass the baton on to Zenta.
Thank you so much on that. Yes, first of all, we already heard the keyword traineeship, internship. We would like to focus first on the part of the traineeship. How does exactly a traineeship in journalism or game journalism specifically work? And how does the process of getting one looks like?
I can start with that. For us, it's a mixture of an internship and like an apprenticeship. It's like a paid internship, and you also learn about the job. The traineeship at GameStar lasts 1 year, and during this time you learn, for example, our content management system. Of course, you learn writing skills, how to make videos, and much more stuff. Usually you start publishing your own articles like on your first or second day. It's very fast. And by the end of the traineeship, you will have written like hundreds of articles. And when GameStar has a traineeship position to fill, there's a classic job advertisement and a classic application process. The most important thing for that is the work samples. So you can send written articles, or if you already have a private blog, or if you have written something for like your local newspaper or your university newspaper, anything. Or you can also, of course, write something specifically for the application. But this is much more important than like degrees or certificates or anything. And yeah, in my case, I was very lucky because it was very fast and spontaneous. But the most important thing is that it just fits, that you just fit into the team, that you have the same interests, that you have something special that you bring to the table. But it's not very important or too important what degree you have, because a lot of people at GameStar, for example, don't have any degree from a university or something totally different, like banking or something. It's a wild mix.
Mm. And in the classic way, after the traineeship, you would contribute as an editor and move on, probably in the company, right?
Yeah, that's the goal most of the time. A lot of people at GameStar get a position right after the traineeship. If you don't get that because the timing is not perfect or something, a lot of people come back after a couple of months, or a lot of people work if they want to stay. Most of them want to. They work as a freelancer for a couple of months and then come back when there's a position open.
Mm-hmm. Does anybody want to add something on the traineeship point in this part?
Julie, I can.
Oh, sorry.
You first.
I would like to add to that I mean, GameStar and MyNMO belong to the same company, like Webedia Gaming, so our processes are similar in that regard. But at MyNMO, all people that are working right now for us started as freelance writers, including me. So that is also a very good entry point to just start as a freelance writer. Freelance writers also get paid at our company. So you can, for example, like I did it, earn a little bit on the side while you're still studying, and just dive into the job and just see if you like the job, if it suits you, if the company suits you. And oftentimes it also happened also with me and with others that I employed. were like, okay, we really like your work, we like what you're doing, and we want to have you in the company. So we opened up jobs for those people because we just were really into the work of the people. And then sometimes if they worked for a longer time as a freelance writer and are educated enough in the field, we also sometimes just overstep the traineeship and get them as juniors immediately, or in other positions, depends on what they did before and yeah, what suits them.
Okay, fine. Very flexible model on that part. Sebastian, you wanted to say something as well?
Actually, I just can agree on everything both of them said. I think for us, it's a little bit special regarding freelancers. I think we will talk about them or about freelancing a little bit later, but yeah, for Game 2, there are not many freelancers, unfortunately. But I think the best way to get into Game 2 is usually via an internship, the usual way. But there are many ways to get to Game 2. I didn't do an internship. I just, as I said, got lucky at the start of Game 2. And I think one thing that's pretty important when you get started with the whole, I would like to write about video games, like I said, I did in the beginning. It's very important to get a portfolio and do everything that you can. What means not only writing about games, but maybe like editing on videos and stuff like that. This is something that crucially helped me getting jobs inside this branch.
Great. Yeah, three very kind of different angles on this part. Sebastian already mentioned some very important other points, which I would like to take up and lead on. You mentioned freelancing. What roles do freelancers have at your company? How do you work with them? Do you have experience as a freelancer yourself? How do they land their gigs? How is it all working as a in game journalism as a freelancer?
I can start because we also work with a lot of freelancers. Usually we put also, you can always apply as a freelancer. There's you can always try. There's no hurdle in doing it. Posting like your portfolio, or what Sebastian said is really crucial. Like, be busy in media. Like, have your Instagram, have your TikTok, have a YouTube channel, be on Twitch, have your own blog. You don't have to be super successful with it. Just try to do something that fulfills you. Like, if you like to do videos, do them. If you like to write. It's not that complicated to start out, so that we can also see where your interests are lying. Like, oh, you like to video ed, or you like to do content about a specific topic. There are, for example, people who like to do service on video games, like making guides for other people and telling people how games are working, where they find the biggest boss, what is the best loot. And so then you have people who like to have a really analytical approach and be like, oh, the Summer Game Fest just happened, and I want to do an analysis on how the state of games are right now, according to the Summer Game Fest. Maybe you like to keep people updated what's going on in the gaming field, so you like to do news, and you can do that with a lot of channels. So that really helps if you do that, so that we can just see like what are your interests and do they fit us. And we usually put out like possibilities to apply also for freelanceships. In that case, you would just write us a small letter like, why do you want to work for us? Why do you want to work in gaming journalism? Doesn't have to be too much. And usually, if you have a portfolio up until that point, we also work with freelance writers who are not experienced at all. When I started, I wasn't experienced at all too. Then most of the time we ask for like a new text, like a proof text, and ask them to write a text that fits our website, so that we can see, can the person really see what are we doing on the website, how our articles are built up, or if you look for a video editor, it's the same. Do you get our approach to gaming journalism and to our content? And if we like that, we usually just make a call with the person and look, how does it work in person? Do we like each other? is the vibe good? Let's put it that way. And are we on the same terms? And if it is like that, we just start working with each other. And in my opinion, if you have the possibility to start as a freelance editor or writer or whatever, it's possibly the easiest way to start out and to build up a portfolio.
And on the further way, when you already have a contact to a freelancer, how does it work? Do you say, oh, we need coverage on this specific topic, or do they approach you with different topics?
Both. Like we like to work with freelancers who have their own will, who have their own mind. So you work with people that really also like to do games journalism and have their own ideas. So usually people also write better if they can write about topic that they really like. So if someone comes to me and says like, I found a new cool game and I want to write about it, maybe it's a yes if it fits our website, if it's fit the community, or you have a really good idea for an opinion piece or whatever. You can always approach us and pitch your piece or pitch your idea, and we will discuss it through with the freelancer. And if it's a fit, we say yes. And on the other hand, we also have, like, for example, a newsroom where freelancers are busy. There we write down news for the day and freelancers can pick them. Or when we know a freelancer a little bit better, I usually also have in my head something like, oh, I want a piece about a new topic, maybe a new game. Elden Ring DLC is coming up and I have a specific topic in my mind that I want to have covered. I go through my freelancers and be like, oh, that person, I know that person would maybe like that topic. I approach the person, say like, yeah, this is my idea. This is what I would like to have. Would you like to do it? And maybe the person says yes, maybe the person says no, and I have to find another one. So it's kind of, it works in both directions. And I think it's really important that freelancers are not only there to execute your ideas, because I met so many freelancers who have so good ideas and who have such great personalities. And I love to see that on the website, like see their whole personality and their knowledge. So they need to write about that, what they want to write.
So passion is key.
Yes.
Geraldine, Sebastian, do you want to add something?
Yeah, again, it's very similar for GameStar because we are partner magazines. We also have couple of different types of freelancers. Most common, I would say, are the freelancers in the text editorial team. Those that have like a shift schedule. For example, they work on Thursdays and Saturdays from 8 to, I don't know, 2. And usually they work similar to our working hours and switch it up. So we have a lot of contact and they are more or less a normal part of the editorial team. And then there are also freelancers that do not work on a daily basis, but on a contract basis, like Leia told, kind of. Also for us, it's a lot of guide freelancers because we have a lot of need for guides. Like Leia explained, for complex games like Elden Ring, we have like, I don't know, more than 50 guides or something, only on fighting weapons, finding the perfect armor or something. And for that, we need guide freelancers that can put all their time and energy on a certain topic for a certain time. What is kind of unique for GameStar is that we also have freelancers that do elaborate reports, but it's a similar reason because as like a normal editor, you usually don't have the time to do a report for a couple of weeks because you have to do your daily job. So we like to use freelancers for that because they can put a lot of time and energy into an elaborate research, into a report that's a couple of pages long, and can work on that for a couple of weeks, for example. Yeah, and also we have a couple of video freelancers, but not so many at the moment. But it is also a possibility to, for example, be a freelance host for our news show that we do on YouTube. Also, a lot of the report and commentary article freelancers are also kind of video freelancers, because sometimes their articles become videos. And lastly, we also have video editing freelancers, and those are the freelancers I mostly work with, because they edit my talk videos for me.
Thank you so much. You already mentioned it a little bit, but video is very important. It seems like it's like a new part of the game journalism. What do you think? What changes did you see during the last couple of years in game journalism, and what changes do you expect from the future?
Oh, in terms of like video becomes more important, definitely. Also, not just video, just experimenting with different media. Of course, GameStar has a history in print journalism. Originally, GameStar is a print gaming magazine, like most of the big pages, big gaming websites. And we do still have that, although a lot of, especially German, but also international gaming magazines in print are no longer available, because it's just a little bit old school. It doesn't sell this good. So a lot of magazines focus on online. GameStar still does have the magazine, and it's also still very popular, actually. We do have something special that's like a unique special magazine that comes like every 2 months. When a special game comes out, like Elden Ring, we do a special magazine that's a thick magazine just for that game, with guides, with articles about just that game. So this is also very popular still. But of course, online is way more important these days, and not just text, because of course videos, podcasts became way more popular over the last few years. Also short content, but because this is my job right now, long form content is it's kind of coming back, because a lot of people like to watch 2 hours, 1 hour, 3 hours of video content on YouTube. And I'm also one of those. I'm also one of the people that say, I don't know, I don't want to watch a movie tonight. This is so much commitment. Movies are so long. And then I watch a 3-hour video essay, because some people are like that. And I absolutely get that. But also short content, like short videos on YouTube. Also short videos that get embedded into articles, for example. I think MyNameMO does that a lot. That we do an article and we think, oh, I can explain that much better in video form. So I don't know, I explain it in 60 seconds and I also embed that into the article. So it gets a bit more variety for people.
Anything to add from Leia and Sebastian?
Yeah, I think what we saw in the last couple of years is due to influencers and social media, I think our role is a little bit different than like a couple of years back. So I think we had to find ways to cover video games that is unique for journalists. So, for example, the classic review, it's still part of our job, and I think it's an important part of our job, absolutely. We do reviews all the time, but I think the meaning of our opinion is not the basis on that everybody chooses what games they play. They have like the Twitch streamer they watch, and they can see if the game is cool or if it's not cool. So they don't need our opinion all the time, I think. So I think in that way we had to change a little bit. I think Game 2 is something a little bit different. That, as I said, does comedy with games. So that is our niche that we saw for us. But also what we started, what I think is actually something that's pretty important for games journalism nowadays, is like investigative stuff. Seeking out stories that are that maybe not many other people have the meaning to tell, or the means to tell. And also like essays and stuff. There was a whole trend covering games in this way, that there are people that have interesting thoughts about games, not reviewing games, but thinking different about games. And I think this is something that video game journalists had to learn in the couple last years, but I think we are getting there more and more. And I think if I take a look also at Game Store, my MMO, there is a lot of things that already changed, but I think we still have to evolve. But that's like media, that's usual business. I think we always have to evolve. We always have to be on the lookout for the things that people want to hear, that people want to see. So I think that's just a normal thing that happens.
So, yeah.
I just would like to add, I mean, Sebastian explained it really good, that when influencers and Twitch came around, the classic review was not that important anymore. So the game journalists had to adapt. We, for example, at MyNMO took the approach to report on influencers. So if your favorite influencer is saying something about a game, we might report on that, or get the opinion, or talk to the influencer and do an interview with him or her. That all happens. And you also asked about the future, and that is also something that adds to what Sebastian just said. It's AI is playing a really big role in the future, because what I can say is, in the past, it sometimes worked for websites easily to go to, in Germany at least, to go onto the US websites, or go to Reddit and find something there and paraphrase it a little bit, rephrase it a little bit, and put a news about it out there. And that is something that will not be as profitable, because that is something that AI can actually do. And what we have to prepare for is something that goes beyond just writing a text or just putting out information, and go deeper. And my hope for the future is, and what we also prepare for, is to do just that, because people will also have some kind of trust issues. We see that already. Like in the past, when they didn't like a content piece, it was always, this is clickbait. It didn't matter if it was clickbait or not. Now we always see like, this is AI written. Most definitely. And there will be some trust issues. And I think it will be way more important to have this hands-on mentality. Like Game 2, as Sebastian told, did an amazing report on Gollum that also went viral worldwide. Still congratulations to that. Or what Geraldine is doing with GameStop Talk, also talking to people, getting the stories out of people. And that is something that an AI can't do. So this... Actually, it will be, in my opinion, more important to get back to very journalistic approaches, to be investigative, to be hands-on, also with guides. Put in there, I played the game myself, and I know this one tip just went viral on TikTok, and I tried it, and the tip is not working because of that and that. So this is something this will be way more important in the future.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I would like to add to that a little bit, because it is like the main one of the main topics that's being discussed in many areas. And I totally get that, for example, editors can feel threatened by it. But I have to say that in our work, it hasn't really pushed us into a corner yet, because like Leia said, the way we work, the type of content that we do is not something that AI can really copy. For example, it's all about passion, personal opinions, fandom, and also like expertise gathered over many years. And I can tell the story because I once desperately tried to ask an AI about its favorite video game for a podcast idea. And it refused to tell me until I said, please just pretend, just do it for me that you have a favorite game. I know you're an AI, but please just pretend. And then it said, okay, if I have to pretend and if I had a favorite game, it probably would be Skyrim. But this is not really passion. This is just an AI trying to fulfill my request. And I think we'll find a peaceful agreement with generative AI so that in the future it will at most support our jobs but not replace them, and also not support in a writing matter. But in my case, for example, things like automatically generated subtitles for videocasts are super helpful, or automatically generated timestamps, things like that.
So enhancing the personal human factor and bringing that to the the brightest audience. That seems like a good approach, I guess. One question from the chat already, because it is a little bit fitting to like the different media you use, TV, YouTube versus written editorial. Despite that, do you see differences in the directions and creative freedom you can take due to being, on the one hand, privately owned like Geraldine and Leia, and publicly founded like Game2 with Funk?
I have to ask you, can you ask the beginning of the question again?
It's okay. It's okay. The question was like, we have on the one hand we have publicly funded program and format. On the other hand, we have the privately owned one. And how is it in terms of creative freedom? How does it affect your work in general?
Yeah, it's difficult for me to say, because I work for Game2, like I just looked up, nearly 8 years now. So I'm a little bit blind on the other side. I just know how Game2 works. And we are in the comfortable position, being funded by public television, that we get a lot of freedom. So I don't know if it's usual this way if you work with public television. I maybe doubt it a little bit, but we have the advantage that they trust us and that we can do whatever we want, more or less. And that helps a lot. It already was mentioned, the investigative work we did. That was something that we were happy to do, that the ZDF Neo nearly asked us if we would like to do some investigative stuff. We didn't think that was possible, because investigative work is a lot of work, and it costs a lot of money, and it costs a lot of time, but they gave us the time to do this. And I think that's one of the things that is maybe a little bit more difficult on for other sites like maybe GameStar. I know they do stuff like this too, because we worked with them together, but maybe we have a little bit more time for things like that. We did just 2 reports on this, I have to say, so we didn't do it, or we don't do this mainly, but that's a little bit the advantage on our side. We sometimes have more time, and we don't have the daily business that maybe GameStar or Mine MMO have to fulfill.
Yeah.
I mean, it's we have to earn money, so that is there, and it's not that easy to earn money with the type of work we are doing. And we have creative freedom in that sense, that we can do whatever we want. So for example, also my boss is not coming towards me and is like, oh, I want that approach on the website, I want this and that, or you are not allowed to publish this article, or you have to publish this article. That is something that isn't happening. So I also, as an editor-in-chief, have a lot of creative freedom with my team to brainstorm about things we want to do, and we just do them. But sure, there is also this thing, like I just told you, for example, that if a freelancer, and that also counts for the other editors, comes with an idea, they can make a pitch. But I also have to look out for, is it in the end profitable? So we have to look for our reach. So that is basically how we earn money. We are a mainstream media, and we need to have a lot of reach, especially for MyMMO, since we don't have something like a paywall. We don't have something additional. We only earn money through advertisement that is directly booked by agencies that can be gaming publishers, but that can also be some other brands, like, for example, chocolate or whatever, energy drinks that think that they want to have the gaming audience. And also the media that is just on the website itself. So if someone opens an article and sees advertisement, we earn money through that. And but in order to earn enough with it, we need to reach a lot of people. So what we have to look out for is our traffic good? So we have to look a lot into analytics, like which articles worked for us, with articles didn't work for us, and how can we get this reach? But there's also this thing of balancing. So there are articles that make a ton of reach. For example, for us, it was recently like Monopoly Go is one of the biggest games in the world right now. And you have sometimes like free codes for that game. And we just publish an article and update it regularly, like, here are your free codes, here are your free codes. It's not complicated work, but it gets a lot of reach. And this is maybe an article that finances another opinion piece on, for example, you are doing a panel about Flinter in gaming. And that, unfortunately, is something that usually doesn't get that much reach. But we do find that important, that something like that also happens on our website, that we have strong opinion pieces or can support courses like Flinter or other minor topics that are usually not that well seen. So we can balance it out a little bit. So if we say like our traffic is stable right now, we have like our guides that give a lot of traffic, we have this and that. So we have enough space for this month to also put out like a really important opinion piece where we know it won't get that much reach, but we find important to publish it. So, and what Sebastian said is true, like investigative journalism is hellish expensive. Like it is really expensive to do because it takes a lot of time and you have to put a lot of resources into it. And we are working towards it to do it more and more because we also think it's very important, but it's not that easy to finance. And that is something that you also have to be aware of if you get into that job.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I needed to hear Sebastian's side first because I also just know this one side and can't really compare. But it's like Leia says, the number of people that are clicking on stuff, the article, the video cast, the podcast, is kind of the most important measure, at least for our company. And that makes sense because they have to fund the stuff that we do, and like they have to fund people that are doing their jobs. It is kind of complicated sometimes, I believe, for a lot of people because the company that's like our umbrella company for MyMMO and for GameStar and also for GamePro and other stuff. We are different magazines with very different topics, with very different vibes sometimes. And it's not that easy, I think, for the big company to see all the differences and to see where we are unique and where we need to experiment, because in the end, for them, the numbers are very important. They have to be important because they are overseeing the fundings and how many people are working and how many people are working for us, and they have to be paid. So we have to kind of find a middle ground with all the interests, with the things that make us unique, with topics that maybe don't do stellar numbers, but are very, very important to our identity. And so we have a lot of creative freedom in a sense, because like Leia said, we can experiment with everything, but in the end, it also has to kind of work at least. or it's just a resource that's getting wasted. So we have to experiment a lot with what works in a way, even if this way isn't technically a lot of people clicked on that, but if we find a new way to say this was a success, and if we can explain that, then it also works. And we do have a lot of creative freedom in a sense, like I basically created my own job. And this is a thing that is for all Webedia, for MyNameMO, for Gamester, for GamePro, everywhere, and in all departments. We have a lot of creative freedom to basically do whatever we want if we show the initiative and if we have good ideas.
And probably also a bit if you can argument like this is now part of the balancing, it fits into the balancing of our media, it will be clicked. So yeah, very interesting. This leads a little bit to another question. Like I can imagine that if your workday is probably not always the same, like when you're doing investigative jobs, or if you have to film a video, or if you want to pitch an opinion piece or a news article. But do you have a typical workday, like to sync with your colleagues, or is it like always in the morning a call and then writing your stuff yourself and then on the afternoon publishing, or how is your usual workday looking like?
I can start. For me, the usual workday is, of course, a little bit different than the workday of a usual editor. For the whole team, it is, yes, we have a daily stand-up call. My team works mostly remotely, and we plan the whole day. Like we have a few people that look through the news, like every one of us is looking through the news and what was happening during the night and stuff, what was happening in America, for example, and is there anything we want to cover? We are very focused on communities, as I said in the beginning, so we also look deeply into the communities, like was there something on social media where people were talking about? Was there something on Reddit? Was there something on the boards of the gaming companies? And then we decide in the morning, what do we want to cover today? We also have a weekly planning like that. We also have a monthly planning like that. And we also use those plannings to do analysis about our topics, like how did they go? What did click very well? What didn't click? What was very good regarding to, did the people read to the end, or did they, we have really a lot of data that we work with. That would be a whole other workshop, to be honest. But we work with the data that we can gather for how people are engaging with our content. And for me personally, it is a lot about coordinating my team, having some talks with the people, like, what are you going to do today? I also do some kind of troubleshooting. So if there are any issues during the day, I sometimes have to throw over my whole planning and be busy with the problem. I also talk to other departments in our company, and because we need a lot more than just editors to make a website or a podcast channel like Geraldine's work. We also have a sales department. We have an affiliate department. We have a dev department that makes that our website goes smooth and put some new ideas into it. We have graphic designers nowadays, editors for video content and everything, and I talk to all those people. I also talk to publishers and talk to the PR and stuff to plan, for example, content with them together, because sometimes for like previews and reviews, we know in advance when something is going to happen, something major is going to happen, and I also do this talking. Editor in my team has another routine. Like when the daily morning call is done, they just start writing and do their first content pieces. And in between, they maybe do some brainstorming for some new stuff, or pitch something, or work on formats. So they are very, very hands-on to the content. And then we have a few people in my team that do the coordinating. And from time to time, I also do some opinion pieces still nowadays, or interviews, which I also very much enjoy and do find important, that I also still have some hands-on mentality, so that I also learn and advance my skills there, that I don't lose touch to it, and also can talk to my team on an eye-to-eye level. That's really important to me.
Yeah, I can maybe add to that, because when I was still in editorial, I think my daily business was very similar to what you described, Leia, for your editorial team. Nowadays, it's very different. And also, I don't think I really have a typical work day, because usually there is, I think this kind of goes for all three of us, because usually there's a big game release, there's an in-house event, like a live stream or live stream week, a convention like Gamescom, or something like the Summer Game Fest right now. And every day is very different. But in theory, my main job, of course, is creating video talks and podcasts. And that includes everything from researching, writing the moderation, inviting guests, recording, picking out video material, then writing an edit list for the production, waiting for production to cut the video, and then posting the video into content management systems, YouTube, podcasts, hosting sites. And we have a lot of hosting sites where videos and podcasts go live. And this also takes a lot of time, actually. And funny thing is, I have a lot less time for that than you would think. For example, I rarely have more than one working day, or like half a working day, for one 60 to 90-minute videocast, including everything I just said. Because on the one hand, we have a very high output, and on the other hand, we have many other tasks, mainly a lot of meetings, calls, video calls, emails, a lot of administrator stuff. And also, the topics in gaming are usually kind of time critical, and you have to and you want to stay up to date when you cover a new topic. So it's very fast paced most of the time.
Mhm.
Maybe
Okay,
that fits perfectly to say something about Game 2, because we work a little bit different. And I think it's funny because Geraldine just said, covering current topics is important. That's totally true, but Game 2 doesn't work that way. We usually have a production cycle that is like 2.5 weeks far. If you start getting the video game that you're reviewing, we are mainly doing reviews, until the piece is shown in our show, it's like 2.5 weeks. So you have a couple of days for playing, then you have to write your text, your review for the piece. But then you also have to think about writing a screenplay for the little gags that we usually do in the show. Then you have to go filming, then you have to go editing, then you have to sit with the editor and going through all the footage and thinking about improving the piece for Game 2, and then it comes to publishing. So we are working a little bit different, and usually we don't we sometimes look at pages like GameStar and think, we would like to be the first one covering a game too, but we are not the first ones. Usually we are a couple of days later, sometimes even weeks. That's it's a thing that we have to live with, actually. And coming
But
to
it works. I mean, you bring something different to the table.
Thank you. Yeah, we're working a little bit different because maybe we have this niche. It's okay to be a little bit late, but when you're looking at YouTube doesn't work that way. So the thing that we currently have is we don't have so much growth, because our coverage is a little bit late usually. And you see this in our viewer counts, but that's okay. That's something that we live with, and that's fine for us. But sometimes as a deputy editor-in-chief, you think, I would have liked to be a little bit more early and getting more clicks on the video or something like that. But we are absolutely happy that we don't have to rush out everything. Sometimes I'm sorry if it sounds like Game 2 is the paradise. It isn't. It is hard work, actually, even though there's a lot of time. That sounds like, oh, that's very comfortable. It isn't. Usually, maybe the game is a little bit too late, and then you have to do this in 1.5 weeks. And doing this, what I just said, usually takes 2.5 weeks. In 1.5 weeks is a lot of pain. So it's difficult still, but we are a little bit late to the party usually. And maybe coming to what I am doing, I do a lot of the administrative work. So I'm planning all the episodes, all the topics that we would like to cover. Also talking with our editorial staff about maybe what they would like to cover. Usually we do the big games, the big releases, but sometimes we would like to cover an indie game that we just discovered, or somebody has a topic that he is dear to his heart or her heart and would like to cover. So we think about this, and we're trying to, plan ahead so that we can do this stuff too, aside from all the big games that we cover. And also something that I had to get used to is that I am the one jumping in whenever there's fire. Whenever there's a problem, then I have to jump in and do something that maybe nobody else has the time for, because this happens too. We talked about the investigative stuff. There I was the problem, because I was like 2 months away. I haven't been there because I had to do this investigative work that we wanted to do. And to accomplish this, a lot of other people had to do the stuff that I would usually do. So maybe just to show you that it's still very difficult, even for us, even though we maybe don't have to look for earning the money with the thing that we publish. We still have a lot of trouble doing the things that we do.
Yeah, thank you so much. These are really detailed but incredible, interesting deep dives into your personal work lives and your personal approaches and your media approaches to game journalism. When we now take a step back, we are here at the Game Starter, so we probably have some users in the chat who are just thinking about how to start in game journalism. And we have some questions for you, and I would like to give over to Helen in this point. So maybe she can approach this part.
Yes, I know that I said at 7 p.m. we're going to start the Q&A, but apparently I lied. So yeah, let's dive into another big part of this event series, which is exactly like Senta said. We always want to know about more about how do you actually start in the field that we're talking about. You already mentioned, or at least Geraldine did, that yeah, you don't really need a special formal education. You all did something very different beforehand. So we would say, okay, you don't need a special formal education, but I think as you're a deputy editor-in-chief and editor-in-chief and someone who founded their own team, you might be in a seat of power and actually get to choose some of your candidates that you get to work with. And so we were wondering, like, what are hard and soft skills that you are on the lookout for? What should someone bring to the table when they send their application to you? Maybe Leah, you nodded when I said, oh, you're in power, so maybe you can say something to that.
I was just thinking, yeah, I think nowadays I hired like 80 to 90% of my team, including the freelancers. So yeah, I hired a lot of people, and I also looked a lot at a lot of applications. And the educational part is really not important to me. Like we have also some people who worked as handyman before and just learned writing along the way with us. What I'm looking out for is usually, of course, a passion for gaming, a passion for the whole nerd culture. Also, you need to be into media. Like you really need to have fun looking at social media or Reddit or boards or anything, because that is where most of the stuff is happening that we are reporting on, and you get a feeling of what people really want to see and not. As for soft skills, empathy. is a huge one, because it's always about people. Especially at my MMO, we were always a lot around people, the people behind who make the games, the people who play the games. They are always in the center with us, and you need to have a good feeling about what people like, what they don't like, and also to have, just to have a good feeling about what stories would work or what servers do they need right now, and really just get into the mind of people and gamers, and know what they want, and that is very, very important. For writing, of course, it is really handy if you have read a lot in your life, if you can write. But there are also different approaches in writing. Like, for example, I have one editor right now who's doing nothing else than service pieces, where you don't need to be very good with a lot of, it doesn't have to be shiny or something. It just has to be, here's your boss, that is the build that you need to slay the boss and have fun with it. Or this is how I did it. But if you have like an opinion piece or a funny piece, you of course need someone who has also wants to do creative writing, and that are completely different approaches, but you can teach basically anyone to write. And there will be different kind of content approaches that will suit you. So that and for the rest, it really depends sometimes on the person, because sometimes a person just has something where you think like, oh, that is really interesting. And I always can just say like, try to apply, especially for the women, I have to say, because for male applications, or for men, you noticed it sometimes happens that they are like, oh, I played 2,000 hours in World of Warcraft, I'm perfect for the job. And I'm overstating right now. And for women, it is often, oh, I have a master degree in media, and I played so and so much, and I have a blog, and I also have a Twitch channel, but it doesn't have that many followers, and I also did this, but I don't know if I'm good enough for the job. And I'm like, I'm glad you applied, because some just never do it because they think they're not good enough for the job, or they have to, I don't know, be the perfect gamer or whatever. And that gets me really frustrated, especially if young people are like that. Like, I also just did it. I just applied without any knowledge about anything, about how this job would work. And I just put a lot of energy into it to just learn all the skills that you need. And I think that is also a very important part. I mean, Sebastian also just mentioned it, like if you do something like an investigative report, or have to work on a tight schedule, you need a lot of energy. And if you don't bring that to the table, it can be very hard to work in journalism in general, because it's, as Geraldine said, very fast-paced. You have to do sometimes troubleshooting because things won't work, or you get community backlash that you have to work with. It's also a whole other topic, so you really, really need a lot of energy. And that's the first thing that I can think of at the top of my head. But if you're interested, just apply and see what happens.
All right, thank you. Sebastian, as a deputy editor-in-chief, do you also have a say in who gets hired? And if yes, what are you looking for?
Yes, I do. Maybe I didn't do, or maybe I accepted not as many people as Lea did, but yes, I am involved in this. And I think most of the things Lea said are absolutely true for us too. I would maybe add to the soft skills being stress resistant. That's something that's very important. I think for all of us, for all of our jobs, I can say for Game 2, it's important, to keep a level head and don't get too stressed out if things don't work the way that you want. That's important, I think. And also for us, there's the whole, maybe that's also included in empathy, but I think being a team player is very important for us, because we're a little small team, and we all have to work together. We have to be there for each other because there are a lot of things that go wrong, and we have to cover each other's back. So that's, I think, an important thing. And regarding the other work, I think the more things you can do as an editor, that means like editing videos, being on camera, being on podcast, editing podcasts, all this stuff is important. The more you know, the better it is, even if it isn't exactly like the classic editorial job description. I think, for example, for us, it's helpful. It's not needed necessarily, but it's helpful if an editor knows how to cut or edit a video. So that's one thing. But if you know, like After Effects, if you can work on your piece and do some graphic stuff, maybe that can help to say, so that we can say, okay, this person is the one that we need. Yeah, I think that's more or less it. Writing is of course very important. It is not enough. If you like video games, that's cool, and that's a big part of our job, but it is not the main thing. So because Leia said it, one of our editors that actually now has become one of our hosts, Esther, started as an intern, did the traineeship, and now, as I said already, is editor and also host of our show. And she was somebody that I think was sometimes afraid of topics that she didn't know very well. But I always said that you don't have to be afraid. You can. It's not rocket science. It's video games. So if you like video games, you can always get in the topic and being a good reporter, even if you don't know the 2 or 3 parts of the game that came before it. So yeah, I think that's mainly it.
Awesome, and go Esther. Happy for her. Geraldine, do you have anything to add to that?
Yes, I mean, you said so many great things, and they also, everything about that applies also to GameStar and GameStar Talk, because actually I was just looking at applications today, because we are currently looking for someone to work with me for GameStar Talk, but we can share that later again, I think. And everything you said, you both said absolutely. Maybe I can add 3 little things, especially to that last point you said, Sebastian, about topics you don't really know or you're not really comfortable with, because you really have to expand further than your own interests. Not just in, you shouldn't be afraid of that, but also you should find enjoyment in that. For example, I have personally absolutely 0 interest in Diablo as a topic, absolutely 0 interest. But I know that it's a very, very important topic for our community. And so it's important that I find passion in that, and also find knowledge in the community. And also, despite I really don't have passion for that game as a private person, I have passion for the game as a journalist, because I know why it's important to people, what are the questions they are asking currently, and why do they like the topic, why do they watch 5 videos about that, why is it important to them. And so you have to find passion for games you don't have any private passion for, if that makes sense. And you can absolutely do that, and that can be very fulfilling and fun if you find passion, for example, simulation games. I don't know, there was a time when I was still in editorial where I covered a lot of simulation games like Farming Simulator, Landwirtschaftssimulator in Germany, which is a huge topic. And obviously, I don't know if you can see that, I'm not really a farming person, maybe despite Stardew Valley. So that's not true. But I wasn't really a farming simulator person. But it was very, very fun to dive into that community, to find the questions and the emotions in the community and why they are so moved with certain topics. So that can be very, very fun, but you have to want to do that. And you have to be aware that you won't always be covering your favorite games. I mean, often you can cover your favorite games. Obviously, there's a lot of overlap in our own interests and the interests of the community, but it's not 100%. And I think all three of us maybe have some games we'd like to write about or talk about, but we know that no one will click on that. So sometimes we just don't do that. And then we'll do Diablo instead. And that's also fine. And yeah, I can say just generally, two things in applications. I would like to have the feeling that I kind of got to know you when I'm reading your application, or when I watch your video application, or when I watch your content that you've sent as a work example. I want to have the feeling that I kind of get to know some point that makes you a person, that I have interest in knowing more, that I have interest in getting to know you more, and that you also have interest in sharing some creative parts of your person. This is something I very like, and that I definitely remember. Yeah, and I like to have the feeling that you have kind of a realistic image about the job. Not necessarily that you know everything you have to know in a few months, but if you don't know everything, also like Leia said, if you're afraid to apply because you think, oh, I'm not an expert in YouTube analytics, that's totally fine, as long as you know that this will be important, and as long as you have a realistic image of, okay, this is something I will need to learn, and this is something I will do very often in this job.
Awesome. I mean, after watching this panel, people will have a very realistic view of your jobs, I hope. So perfect. First up, that was like the clickbait preview. We are going to talk about your open positions at the end of this panel, so stay tuned. But also, thanks for the very active chat. We do see your questions, and we're going to get to them after this question. Because you already mentioned for career starters, a good portfolio is key. And so to write about what you know and what you love, so that people can get to know your interests when you're applying. But the way there might sometimes be difficult. So we were wondering if there are any specific resources you recommend for career starters on how to maybe create a good portfolio, but also are there any games journalists, like role models people should follow, and maybe things that people can learn from them? Maybe there's someone that you learned something from. Do you have something to share? I think, Leia is already nodding again. I love that. So
pretty easy, the internet. So you can, the good thing about the internet is you can just publish right away. Like, as I told before, a social media channel is already enough. Like, if you have interest in taking cool pictures and doing reels and Instagram stories, expand on that. If you like Twitter, expand on that. If you like to do videos, use YouTube, TikTok, whatever. If you like streaming, start your own Twitch channel. And then you also will get like an idea of what we are also doing, because those channels are also about reaching audiences, building up a brand and stuff like that. You can use that to figure yourself out a little bit. And as I said, it is not important that you have the biggest numbers on those channels. It's more important that you learn along the way, and that you figure out what kind of content you like, what kind of content you don't like. And that helps us also to get you, or different people in media that you want to work with, to just see what kind of person you are and what content you like to create. As for a blog, that is, of course, something different, but there are also very easy tools like WordPress, for example. I always can just recommend to use WordPress to start a new blog if you're more into writing and want to expand on that, so that you can just put out some articles on there, or opinion pieces or whatever. And if you do it for a longer time, if you're studying right now, for example, and just put something in there on a regular basis, it doesn't have to be daily. You can also see if you are also advancing in your skill set there, and if you think about, oh, how can I try different approaches, stuff like that. So just use the channels that you know via the internet. It's super, super easy nowadays to just create content. I mean, those platforms also want you to create content, so they make it as easy as possible for you. So just do that. And as recommendations, LinkedIn is actually a good one. There are a lot of developers or also publishers who are on LinkedIn that you can follow. It is also very handy to build up a network over there. Also games journalists like us, like follow Sebastian, follow Geraldine, follow me, follow Heiko from the Gamester channel. And then you can also see what we like, because we also post stuff on social media, and maybe you will find a common ground there that you can use in your application. I had a few times some people that did that with me, and it was like, oh, you sneaky. But it's smart. It's smart. It's a smart approach. So use that. It's easy nowadays to connect to people, and I always can recommend that.
All right, thank you. So I think for the first part, Leia has covered everything, but Sebastian, do you have any follow recommendations, any shout outs you want to give?
I just wanted to nod. No, actually, I can't say much more. Maybe just that consuming the media that you would like to create is also very important. That was the thing that I started with while also writing in a blog and stuff like that. That I consumed a lot. I listened to podcasts. I read GameStar Mine MMO, of course, but also international pages like Kotaku and stuff like this. Looking for interesting YouTube formats that you like. Everything helps. And it helps also defining maybe your own language that you would like to write in. I mean, your own style. So I think consuming the media is also as important as doing it yourself.
Yes, also chances are very high that you already do have role models and don't really have to look for them, because sometimes it doesn't even have to be gaming. For example, I have a lot of YouTube channels I really, really like, and they either don't have to do anything with gaming, or gaming isn't their main focus. But it's also very interesting to ask yourself, why do I like these channels? For example, if you want to do videos, why do I watch this YouTube channel? Why have I been watching this for years? Why do I have no problem to watch a 3-hour video of the channel? What makes this so interesting to me? And it's very cool to watch outside of gaming, for example, and also learn there, because maybe the thing you really like is that they talk so freely, that they give you the feeling of I'm telling you a story, like we are good friends and I'm telling you this story, which is 3 hours long. And maybe this is the feeling that you really like about this channel. And maybe this is something you want to adapt for your work. So chances are really high you already have really good role models. You just have to understand what you like about them.
All right. I think those are great pieces of advice. So now we are turning to the chat. So people, if you are watching this, fire along your questions. But we already have a couple of them in our document. And the first one, which was actually asked right at the start of the panel, but we wanted to groove ourselves in a bit because it's a bit of a heavy hitter. The user Plinkett asks, one question that's been on my mind for some time: how does the crisis in the gaming industry affect games journalism? Do you feel the fallout reaching the editor rooms? So, for example, maybe some of your contacts have been laid off, or advertisers aren't as happy to flush the money anymore. Do you feel that? Or can you even say something about that, Leia?
Yes, of course, you see it. It's not only game publishers or game developers. It's also gaming magazines that fall out. I mean, it is, as I told you, it is a heavy market, and you always have to see how you can adapt to new things. And it's also heavy on the reporting, because we also see those stories. We also live with those people, and it sometimes is just, I mean, I also like gaming journalism because it's fun, it's entertainment, and I couldn't imagine to be a journalist about politics, for example, because I would get maybe depressed because of it. And sometimes you get some depressing topics because there's also depressing stuff happening in gaming as well. And gaming communities can be toxic at times. But that is something that we most definitely see. I mean, for us, it didn't affect us the way that we had to lay off people or anything. I mean, we will also share our career portal from Webedia, but Geraldine and I belong to. We are still adding stuff to the company because we really believe, especially right now, in getting more good people with what we explained earlier, with also the developments in AI and so on. We really think that we will, in the end, have a good basis if we just invest in more good people that can also tackle those difficulties out there. But yeah, you also like that is something that is more for our sales department, and how much money the people want to spend on advertisement, and so I won't say too much about that one. I can just say we feel it, we see it, but yeah, you have to deal with it, and I think we do have some really good ideas to tackle those problems with things that I said earlier, and don't have to repeat myself.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. Sebastian, I was wondering, as a publicly funded outlet, what do you feel of this impact?
We hear about it, of course. We cover a lot of the things that are happening right now and that are not good and don't look good. On our side, it's of course a little bit singular, because we just have to look at ZDF Neo as our the company that pays us. But of course, we hear about the economic crisis there too, and that they have to look out for the money. Currently, it doesn't affect us, but it always can. And our employer, Rocket Beans, that we are working for, that also are doing other stuff than Game 2. We are a little bit secluded. We are our own team in another house, and Rocket Beans itself got affected already. So but maybe I can't tell too much about it because I am not part of this exactly. So it's a little bit more difficult, but we feel it too.
You're a satellite, basically. Geraldine, did Leia already cover everything from your company, or do you want to add anything?
I think you covered it pretty neatly. It's a complicated topic. We definitely talk about it almost every day, because almost every day there's something new, and we always talk about that. We cover the things, we analyze the things in talks, for example, in articles. Like Leia said, luckily it doesn't affect us at the moment in terms of we have to lay off people. It's the opposite. Currently, we are kind of opening a new team with a lot of people. So this looks pretty good right now. But absolutely, we have to adapt because of the situation in certain points, like sales, for example. But I also, this is not my specialty. I know that there are changes and we have to adapt, but I don't want to share anything that's wrong, because that's not my expertise.
Yeah, we don't want to spread any misinformation on that. Another user from like a whole different world, the world of PR, they asked, as someone who works in gaming and tech PR, what is one thing or two things you wish PR professionals will take into account when reaching out? Since we are kind of dependent on you, but are also incredibly busy, and you are busy, and your email account is most likely flooded. Do you have any tips on that? Maybe Geraldine, would you like to start?
Oh my God, I'm the worst person to ask that about flooded email accounts, because my email account, I'm looking at it right now, and I can say that the unread number has maybe 5 digits. but I won't talk about that because I'm messy.
I'm so happy we reached you for this panel.
Yes, my oh my God, my email account is very messy. That's my fault partly, but maybe. Often we discover things not really via email, but also via social media. I think this is also like a great way to reach out. Depends on the topic. But for example, if you have a small indie game and you think, hey, this is totally in the lane of the GameStar community, and I think they would enjoy that. Maybe you can write someone from GameStar via social media and show them pictures, videos of your game and tell them, hey, I think you would like that because of that. And this is often a way that we really catch on to, for example, a new game. Also, of course, maybe we find it ourselves on social media. If you share something and a lot of people liked it, or it matches with, for example, my personal social media interests. So it's shown to me and I think, hey, this looks really cool. For emails, I don't really know. I hope one of you two has a hint for emails, because I'm the worst person for that, as I said.
At least they shouldn't write you.
Yeah, maybe don't write to me. No, I'm reading my mails. Thing is, I leave a lot of mails unread because I'm on a lot of email circulation lists, and a lot of that isn't really personally for me. And I'm really messy and I don't delete stuff. So a lot of stuff is unread because it wasn't really meant for me.
Okay, maybe I can try to add. I just looked at my mails and they are like a little bit more than 200 unreads. So I'm still okay, I think. Yeah, it's difficult. I think keeping it short and getting to the point is important. Reading all the press releases I get all day is very difficult, and I don't do it. I usually just look for a trailer if I'm interested, and yeah, take a look if it is something that could fit Game 2. I think social media is a very good advice. All the other possibilities that you can reach us can help. I think I got like a lot of games, but a couple of games that reached me via social media that helped a lot, because you directly can see what it's all about and maybe if it's fitting to us. Yeah, I don't know. Try it via telephone, but I don't have a telephone anymore. So that's getting a little bit more difficult, but that could help also.
Try it via smartphone.
Via smartphone, but I don't give out my numbers that easily.
Leia, what would you advise to PR people, how to convince you to look at their mails?
This must be so depressing to you right now as a dear person who asked that question, because if I look at my emails, I have to be honest, a lot of them get thrown away right away, because it's a lot. Like I also am flooded with different kind of news from all over the world on look at my amazing game, no, look at my amazing game. And a lot of them are not personalized. They are just, you can just see on the headline from the email that they are generated and get flooded by, a lot of people get flooded. And I would highly advise against that. Because I don't think that it is a good way to reach people. I mean, maybe you got through the panel that our job is really busy, and especially in our position, like leading teams or building up a new team, we also have some troubleshooting to do, and it sometimes can be hard to catch up with our emails, and everything that helps me to understand your game better and why, or tech piece, and why it fits our community or our website is less work for me. So yay. So put the effort in and research really the website or influencer you want to reach, and try to understand what kind of content they have, what kind of approach they have, and really make a personalized email. I know it's way more work, but for the people you really, really, really do want to reach because you think that would be a perfect fit, doesn't matter if it's Game2 or an influencer or it's us. If you think it is a perfect fit, then put that in your email. And then maybe it will help me to see, oh, okay, that person is right. That could be interesting for us. And I start talking to you. Via social media is also a good tip. I'm on all social media platforms and I read all my messages. So if please don't flood my social media now, but it is way to reach me, most definitely. And what Sebastian said is also true. Trailers. Like trailers are very, very, very easy for us to make something out of. Like we also put just trailers that counts also like for GameStar, GamePro and MineMMO. If you have nice trailers, we look at them and then we can make like easy postings with a few of words like, oh, here's a cool trailer of a new game that you might want to have a look at, that this might fit you, and it doesn't cost us that much resources, and people really like to look at trailers. So, and good assets. I don't know how often I have to say that to PR people or people in marketing. Please make sure that you have good assets, because thumbnails are so important. If you look at YouTube or if you look at your Google Discover or Google News, the first thing and the biggest thing that you see are pictures. And we also have to take that into account for our coverage. And if I have very pixelated pictures that don't show anything, no nice artwork, then I can immediately say that goes into the bin, because I don't have anything good to show. So please make sure you have good assets.
Yes, I'm nodding fiercely. This is so true. Also, yes to the personalized emails or social media messages, because now that I'm thinking about it, people have been most successful reaching out to us if they know who they want to write and why. Maybe you know person X is the expert of GameStar, of MineMMO, of Game2 for horror games, and you have a horror game you want to share. So you write to, for example, it's actually Sebastian at Game2. You write to Sebastian and say, hey, I know you like horror games, and I know you like this game, and this could be right in your lane. Or if you see, I don't know, somebody in the editorial already wrote a piece about a very similar game or even about that game, and then you reach out to them and say, I read your article about that, maybe I can show you something more about this game because you already wrote about it, or I can show you a very similar game because you seem to like that.
All right, thank you. To make true on our promise, and also because people in the chat asked, let's talk about open positions at MineMMO and GameStar Talk. Maybe Geraldine, you'll kick us off because you already teased the one you are looking for.
Ooh, all right. Yeah, I can. I think you can share the link afterwards. I will send it to you, and you will share it. It's actually a position, yeah, right in my team, because currently, as I said, I'm my own team, and I would like to hire a co-host. And this is a very wide position. I don't know how to describe it. It is very similar to my position that I described in this panel, but maybe with a little less administrative stuff. So mainly it would be a host position for GameStar Talk. So it would be for a person that wants to host podcasts and video talks. So you should be aware that there always is a video talk version of that. So you should be kind of comfortable being in front of the camera, but also work behind of the camera. And you should also have knowledge and passion for podcasts, for audio-only podcasts, because it's also very important to always know this will be a video, yes, but this also will be an audio version, and this also have to be kind of appealing, even if we don't see the same stuff. And you would do a lot of creative work. You would, for example, look for new formats you could do, look for new games you could share. You would do research for current topics, also sometimes complicated stuff. For example, the layoffs in the industry. You could do a podcast about that and analyze that. You would contact a lot of guests inside and outside of our GameStar cosmos and be in contact with them. Also, there's a huge part in organizing events, live streams, and be part of events like the Gamescom. Oh my God, as I said, it's a very wide position. But in the end, it would be very similar to what I'm doing without administrative stuff. I would do that for you. But I need a co-host because I have so much output right now because we were growing very fast, which is great since we started out. But now it's so much work that I can't do in the long run all the hosting, all the writing of the episodes and the administrative stuff all together. So I need a person that wants to do that with me. And as I already said, experience in any form is of course great. If you have any experience in podcast hosting, any experience in radio, for example, experience in TV, experience in your private YouTube account or video editing, anything in that realm, then this is already a great start.
Dream job alert, I'd say. So I hope you get loads of great applications. And someone from this panel who watched, perhaps. Who knows? Leah, you also mentioned that there are a couple of openings at your job.
Yes, we will open one in August, but I still have to write the application letter thingy. I will do this week, so it will get published this or next week. Let's see about that. But there will be, the application process will start soon, and it's for a service/guide editor position. So this is a regular editor position, can also be done at an entry level. And it is for people who really love to tell their friends all about the new patch notes, about how they how they can better slay their bosses, how they can better their gear and stuff. So everything that serves people to optimize their gaming experience and have more fun or be better at it. So this person will write mainly guides or service, but it can also be personalized service. So if you experience something in the game yourself, you maybe discovered something cool, you can also write about it or do video stuff about it and say like, please don't do the same mistake I did because this is a way better way and stuff like that. So it's a classical editor position. But as I mentioned earlier, if you're interested in just having experience in the job, build up your portfolio, look if it fits you, please just write an application for a freelance role, because we always hire people for freelancing. Like it's not really hiring, we work together with people who are freelancing. But if we have someone there where we say like, oh, that's a perfect fit, chances are really, really high that we just take you on board and see how it goes. And in that regard, right now, I'm very interested in people who like mobile games. So things you play on your smartphone, for example. So if you like smartphone games in any kind, please shoot me a message. We are actually really looking for people who can help us cover those games. But also for the rest, just have a look at the website, see if our content fits you, and just do an initiative. And as I told you before, all of my stuff, including me, started as freelance writers. So it's a really good entry point.
All right. I also, I'm sure many people just pointed their ears at that and are very excited to hear that. Just to throw it in there very quickly, one person asked whether or not our German job market in games journalism might be open to people who are writing in other languages or in English. And I think you all only write in German, right? I think that's a bit difficult in Germany.
Yes. I mean, What I'm looking forward to, for example, also in AI, is that this will be easier in the future to get multi-language people on board because we can just easily translate their cool content pieces, but we're not there yet. So it's good if you have good basic German skills. But I mean, if you're not German but speak German and can write in German, you still can try to apply because there are already pretty good tools out there to at least better your German so that you can put your texts into that and it will clean everything up. So I wouldn't be too hesitate about that if you are really good with the content that you're doing and it's just about maybe some phrases or some comma problems or whatever, then there are already tools that can help you tremendously with that. So I don't know if that's the case with you, or if you're a complete foreigner, then it's difficult. But if you can basic German, you can try.
All right, thank you. So I think that's a wrap. Let's end on this high note. Many thanks for sharing your insights with us on the wide field of games journalism. I'm pretty sure we all learned quite a lot. I hope you see great applications for all your job openings in the near future. And thanks for everyone who tuned in and for all the questions from the chat. We had a great time with you. Hope you tune in for the next Game Starter, and so that you never miss one, join our Discord, subscribe to our newsletter, or simply on YouTube. There are so many ways. So have a lovely evening and see you soon. Goodbye.